Hey, hello, welcome into Fantasy Filmball. My name is Matt, with me is Dylan, and today we're going to be recapping the Golden Globe Awards and talking a little bit about the consequences, the shifts that this has made in the awards race. What's changed? What's the same going towards the Oscars? So we're doing this Golden Globes discussion just a few days after the Golden Globes. And I don't really know how I feel about this. How do you feel about this slate of winners? Because it's mostly expected with a few surprises.
Yeah, I don't remember the Globes ever being this predictable. Obviously there was no Globes last year, or there were Globes, but no one was really predicting them that much. And the year before that was just a very different year because it was the COVID year. So it's been a while since we had like a normal Globe ceremony like this one was. And I don't know, I just feel like everything was either the number one or the number two. And the only categories where maybe the one or two didn't win was the shit show category, which we'll dive into here in a little bit.
Yeah, something I got so hung up on, and I think everyone got pretty hung up on, was that we were all trying to predict what the upset in Best Drama was going to be. Obviously, The Fabelmans was number one in the category, but typically, the Globes don't go for number one, in Best Drama, at least. Because if you look at the past few years, the film that should have won the Globe going into the Globe, the most Globesy choice, hasn't won. In 2021, people were expecting the Globesy choice in drama would have been Belfast, but they went with Power of the Dog. In 2020, we were expecting the Globesy choice to be The Trial of the Chicago 7. It wasn't Trial, it was Nomadland that won. 2019, we were expecting The Irishman. That felt like a Globes choice. They went with 1917. Even back to 2018, we were expecting A Star is Born. We got Bohemian Rhapsody. Or the year before, we expected The Shape of Water. We got Three Billboards. And so year after year, they go with the film that doesn't feel like the Globesy choice. And so we were both trying to predict, okay, if they're not going to do The Fabelmans, what are they going to do? And then they just did The Fabelmans.
Yeah, it's just a weird pick to me because I said this in our predictions episode. I kind of still stand by it now. I get the whole Fabelmans is the predicted winner, but no one was predicting it. So does that really make it the predicted winner? Most people were off and they were saying Elvis, they were saying Maverick, and I would say if you put all like the pundits together, Fabelmans would not have been number one. And maybe that's why it still won, is because it was an obvious choice, but it wasn't the one everyone was going with. I don't know. Like I said before, I felt like any movie here besides Tar had an angle, and it was just which one they went with. And this goes back to the whole stat I said during our predictions. Director and drama, or director and when the pictures go together, usually drama, and the fact that Cameron, Baz, and Spielberg were the overlaps there, that means one of the three probably should have won here. And James Cameron's bust kind of died off a little bit, and I would say Cameron had a better shot to win director, but not picture. Elvis had a better shot to win picture, but not director. And Spielberg's the only one who was really number one or number two for both. So I guess in like Monday morning quarterback sort of thing, Fabelmans was, I guess, the obvious choice, but it didn't feel like it in the moment.
I think that we're thinking of it from an angle of we kind of know that the Globes are fucky and they do weird shit in this category. And so do other pundits. And so when we're looking at like professional pundits who are saying that The Fabelmans was not going to win this category, I think that they were all coming at it from the same angle as us. It makes sense, but why would the Globes do something that makes sense in a category where they never do something that makes sense?
Yeah.
And so from that angle, I still think we could say that The Fabelmans was the easy frontrunner, but we were all way too preoccupied with trying to figure out something that wasn't the easy choice.
Yeah, I agree there. And as we mentioned, drama and director, they tend to go along. So Spielberg was our winner for director as well. And we were trying to predict who would win this in the last episode because while Banshees and Everything Everywhere were kind of duking it out in comedy, you didn't really want to predict the comedy person to also win director because if they don't win comedy, they're not going to win director. So
I picked that though. I mean, I had Daniels in director, but I had Banshees in comedy. But I mean, it didn't work out for me. I guess because Spielberg has been the predicted winner, but he's been faltering a little bit with the BAFTA miss. And he hasn't been winning any critics groups, but that's been going to Daniels. So now I think we got ourselves a race. We got ourselves a fierce race between those two.
I would agree. Yeah, I would say McDonough's probably, I don't know if he's win competitive, but he's definitely probably going to end up like top 2, top 3 in total votes. Because like
I'd say he's like third place solidly, no matter what. His direction's just not what people talk about with that movie.
Yeah, I agree. They do talk about, though, as we mentioned, Banshees won comedy, but I feel like this kind of overlaps with comedy as well, because our comedy 1 and 2 is also our screenplay 1 and 2. Banshees took screenplay. Everything Everywhere All at Once loses out on the, I guess you could say, big 3 awards. It won some other stuff that we'll get into later, but our drama director, comedy screenplay, 2 movies split those. Fabelman's got drama and director. Banshees comedy screenplay. Your thoughts here?
So I think that actually the best thing that could have happened for Everything Ever All at Once was to lose all of those main categories. Banshees and the Fabelmans both winning is like, it does. I think Fabelmans really needed that to get steam back up. Banshees, it just makes sense for it to have won here. The Globes clearly really loved it. But yeah, just overall, Everything Ever All at Once has been starting to suffer from frontrunner fatigue. And it's really nice to see that with this award, it losing, I think, is a good thing. I think it means that it can stay the underdog for a little bit longer. It can pick up a few awards elsewhere, but people will always go, oh, but it lost the Golden Globe. So, like, is it really the underdog? And then SAG's going to happen. PGA's going to happen. It's very likely that it could triumph in both of those places. And then it could head to the Oscars. So I think losing the Golden Globe is very good. And it reminds me a lot of Birdman. And Birdman lost Best Comedy to the Grand Budapest Hotel. But Birdman did win actor and it did win screenplay. So Birdman did have the screenplay win, which Everything Everywhere does not have.
Yeah, I know there's been a discussion between the two of us and some other people recently. I feel like regardless of Everything Everywhere status for Best Picture, Banshees has screenplay. And that's going to continue to go throughout the season. So I never really thought that was a battle here at the Globes. It just kind of went down to, will Globes go Daniels and Everything Everywhere combo, or will they go drama and director combo? And at least to me, the drama contenders seemed more strong in director, because I get the Daniels buzz. They've been winning a lot, but also they don't feel like a Globes director winner either. Globes, they like names, even when it's like a different pick, like Sam Mendes. Sam Mendes is still a household name. The Daniels will become one. They're just not one at this moment.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about paths for director and screenplay from here, because I think you're right. Screenplay, it's just going to be, despite the fact that Everything Everywhere was the predicted front runner at the beginning of the season, it's not going to win screenplay. Because think about it this way: who's winning Critics' Choice screenplay? Banshees. Who's winning BAFTA screenplay? Banshees. Who's winning WGA? Everything Everywhere, because Banshees is ineligible. But that's basically like a 2 for 3 there. And then what else are we missing in screenplay after that? Nothing really. So it's just, it's going to be Banshees, Everything Ever All at Once, Banshees. But, maybe there's an upset there. Maybe that's an upset. But then let's talk director. Critics' Choice, probably Daniels. BAFTA, Daniels, because there's no Spielberg. DGA, probably Spielberg. Then we go into the Oscars, and we've got a tight race there, because they've both won back and forth. And
I'd fight back.
I lean Spielberg, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'd fight back on the BAFTA. I feel like they could just go with someone else. I don't know who that would be at this moment. I would need to see the lineup of the final 5, but I could see them not going Daniels for director there, even though they seem like the obvious choice, because the international branch may want to go with something else. I'm not someone who likes to over exaggerate long list, short list sort of thing. I get all Call on the Western Front showed up everywhere possible. House of Gucci did last year, and it didn't show up in a lot of categories. However, if All Quiet on the Western Front gets nominated in every category, then I feel like Edward Berger could maybe be a surprise BAFTA pick. Could be like the international audiences or voters are surrounding just this one performance that we thought would be a Park Chan-wook or a Ruben Östlund or Rajamouli. It actually was Berger all along.
Yeah. But, well, by proxy, if they don't go Daniels at BAFTA, then that's a vote for Spielberg. And then Spielberg takes the win. But then the question to me is, if Banshees is getting screenplay and Fabelmans is getting director, then what is Everything Everywhere's path to Best Picture? And it doesn't have one. But in that case, if Spielberg is winning director everywhere and Everything Everywhere takes that one WGA win, it could still win the Oscar.
Mm-hmm. Well, we go from some categories that are very up in flux for the Oscars to, I think, some sweeps here, or maybe not sweeps, but our top twos, because the Globes break them up into drama and comedy. Our actors, they're the two that we expected to win. Butler for drama, Farrell for comedy. One of them is going to win the Oscar. Take your pick. For drama actress,
we have different ones, though.
Yes, we do. For actress in drama was Blanchett. Actress in comedy was Yeoh. One of them's winning the Oscar. Take your pick. I think we align here at least.
We do.
Maybe not. Okay. So, yeah.
Yeah. I say Yeoh. Do you say Yeoh?
I say Yeoh solely because of, I think I've said this a few times on the show now, that MBR stat where 1 of 4 of actors win every year, and I don't have Farrell. Therefore, I kind of have to have Yeoh because I don't have Monet, and I think Gleason was the supporting actor win. And I don't have either of them winning in the supporting category. So, the 1 out of 4... for me, would have to be a Yeoh at the end of the day. But I fully understand the path for Farrell. He's won more than Butler now, but we are in the industry awards, which would more skew towards Butler. So I think BAFTA, SAG, if Butler takes those, it's Butler's award. But if Farrell upsets one of those two, then Farrell can win the Oscar.
Farrell would not be an upset for BAFTA, my dude. He's British. Well, he's Irish. But he's from that region, so he's a BAFTA homeboy. Right there. So here's how it's going to go. Critics' Choice, Farrell. BAFTA, Farrell. SAG, Butler. And then Oscar, question mark.
Mm-hmm.
I am saying it's going to be Farrell. Just because I think that there's going to be a little bit more love behind Banshees. And Butler's so young that I feel like they're going to be like, hey, he's got time.
I see that angle, but also... who won drama actor at BAFTA last year? Or who won actor at BAFTA last year?
I actually cannot remember that.
Pretty sure it was Will Smith. And Will Smith's path is also Butler's path. It's the populist choice. It is the biopic choice. It is the one where the actors are going to clamor for the performance. I get Farrell as the more well-known name. I get Farrell as probably the more likable person in interviews and in speeches. But... Elvis is a force. We've seen that. While Elvis may not be the best picture winner contender that Banshees is, Elvis is Butler. Butler is Elvis. And I think that, at the end of the day, is going to carry him into the win. But we're split there. We have some more nominations.
Will Smith was a career award, though. He was a career award. So,
yeah, but I kind of feel like Farrell would be a career award as well. Yeah.
You make a good point that Benedict Cumberbatch did lose to Will Smith. He did lose to the American, so my argument of it's his home turf is kind of relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, Butler's like 30. He's got time.
He does, but I just feel like this is the type of role where it's just very hard for voters to pass up one. But that moves us over to the actress side, where I kind of feel like it's the same debate, but not really. You have the more experienced actor, Blanchett in this case, doing a career, you could say, best performance in a very acclaimed movie. But you also have someone in the more beloved movie, or maybe not beloved, but the more like passionate fan base behind it with Yeoh, who is getting their first time nomination here and who has a different path to win, but also I feel like it's still a very strong path.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go the opposite of what I said last time, because you know how I just said Farrell gets Critics' Choice in BAFTA and then he goes to the Oscar? Here, I'm going to say Blanchett gets Critics' Choice and BAFTA, and Yeoh gets SAG, and Yeoh gets the Oscar. So I'm contradicting myself. It's a little bit of hope diction, I guess. But I do see the path there being she gets SAG and she has the populist vote. But I guess if that's what I'm saying, then I should go Butler. But I'm not.
The thing for actress though is I don't like. I feel like Blanchett just makes more sense, but Everything Everywhere is not a Best Picture contender to win without Yo. I firmly believe that. I think they have to.
And
they
Kwan.
go hand in hand. Or yes, but Kwan, we'll get into that in a second. I think Kwan's already kind of have it in the bag. Now that we're in the industry awards, he's gonna just keep giving speeches to further submit that. But Yo, at least for me, is I feel like she is like the force behind, kind of like how Troy Kotzer was for Coda. And as long as Yo keeps winning, that means Everything Everywhere still has a chance in picture. Like how when we got deeper into the season last year, Kotzer and then the ensemble kept winning. And that meant, hey, this is our vote for Coda in another category. Because as we mentioned before, Everything Everywhere probably won't win screenplay and maybe isn't the director pick anymore. So this is now their big above-the-line pick that isn't Kwan for its big votes to go to. But speaking of Kwan, unless you have anything else to add to actress, Kwan won here, and he's going to continue to win throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think Kwan is Kotzer. And the reason I say that is because what we saw with Kotzer, he became an icon for the movie of we want to see this movie win because we want to see these people get up on stage because we want to root for these people. Kotzer became the person that every time he won, the entire cast was rallying there. They were throwing the love sign up in the air. Everyone was cheering for him in the audience. And to me, he is the reason why Coda ended up taking Best Picture, because he was so easy to root for. Kwan, I think, is the same. Kwan's going to keep getting up, giving speeches that melt everyone's hearts. He's going to keep being talking about how the Daniels basically saved his career and showed him that he matters. He's going to keep saying things like that, and it's going to make the industry feel like, wow, it's important to award this film because it really did something. Yo, yes, I think she's going to... Her speeches are also going to cement that, like, yes, this movie really did something for people who have deserved something like this for a very long time. Yo and Kwan, who both have been accepting that maybe their time is done. And now here they are. But Kwan is much more emblematic of that. So Kwan is Kotzer. He's going to keep winning. And ultimately, if Everything Ever All at Once ends up winning Best Picture, it is because of Kwan.
Okay. I see that angle, and I think I agree, but I also think that, like you said, Yo is playing a big part of that as well. But you talked about...
Yes, she is for sure, but Kwan is a bigger one.
Yeah. You talked about career awards and how people want to see this person succeed. That brings us to supporting actress, which I said last time, no movie's ever won 3 acting awards at the Globes, but I was going to predict Jamie Lee Curtis just to cover my butt because I don't know which one is possibly going to lose, even though it was definitely going to be her. But the last minute on Gold Derby, I did change my pick to Angela Bassett, and Angela Bassett was our winner here. I think a very Globesy type pick, which I don't know if the win will carry over, but I think I'm now starting to believe that Bassett is going to be in for the Oscars, and she's probably number 3.
Yeah, I cannot recall. Do you remember, did I predict Bassett on the show? Because I had her on Gold Derby. Or did I say Condon?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I had Bassett on Gold Derby. We're going to say I picked Bassett on the show.
Yeah, all that matters is your Gold Derby picks at the end of the day, because like I said, I switched, I think, 3 categories after we hopped off last time, because I switched from drama and director from Avatars and both to Elvis and both.
Yeah, so, ultimately, we both ended up with Bassett. So, I think it's a solid win. I wouldn't even pick her in my top 10 in the category, but undoubtedly she has some amazing scenes that are incredibly powerful. She has sizzle clips. As a whole performance, I don't think that the character really has enough, but the throne room scene, the have I not given everything speech, she owns those moments. She's an icon. She deserves it. It's a better career award than Jamie Lee Curtis would have been. So I'm happy with Angela Bassett here. ultimately, I think that the Oscar is going to come down between her and Carrie Condon. I'm starting to lean Bassett.
Yeah, I think it comes down to SAG, honestly, for me. Because I don't think Condon's winning SAG, but if Bassett wins SAG, then I think Bassett has to be the new frontrunner. Because Condon always kind of felt like Balfe. I don't think Condon will get like snubbed like Balfe did, but she never felt like someone who would actually win. She just felt like someone who's very secure.
I agree.
At number one. Because I think even earlier in the season when we were doing predictions each week, and I was like, hey, I have Condon as my one. I don't think she's winning, but she's getting nominated, and that alone means I have to put her at my one because I don't have passion for anyone else to win. And we're still seeing that now where there's no one with real passion to win outside of what seems like Bassett here. And the big thing against Bassett is just she'd be the first MCU movie actress to ever be nominated, and for a movie that's not even going to make Best Picture with it at that. So it's just a very weird case, but recently we've seen Oscar trends are meant to be broken, and it looks like the MCU trend is going to be broken this year.
Yes. Okay. I just want to pose a question here.
Mm-hmm.
If Angela Bassett wins the Oscar, this would be... I'm looking on Wikipedia right now, because when was the last time that the Golden Globes went 4 for 4 with Oscar wins?
That's
Because
That's a good
2022 they diverged. They did not get actress. 2021 they did not get actress or supporting actor. Actress, supporting actress. They went with the Mauritanian. And then let me go back to 2019.
And by actress, you're looking at comedy and drama, right?
I'm looking at both.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. 2019 they went 4 for 4. They had drama actor and actress Joaquin Phoenix, Renee Zellweger, Brad Pitt, and Laura Dern. So there is precedent in 2019 for them going 4 for 4.
2019 was also the season where the acting categories were swept from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, though. So I guess that, I mean, statistically, yes, that is the last time, but also that's just a weird year because all the people won every award.
2018, they also did it. 2018, they had Rami Malek, Olivia Colman, Mahershala Ali, Regina King.
Cool. So not too long ago. So I guess it wouldn't be that uncommon.
They did it multiple times. 2017 they did it. Gary Oldman, Frances McDormand, Sam Rockwell, Allison Janney. Okay. So there's like 3 years in a row where they're hitting it every single time. And then they missed in 2016 because they did Aaron Taylor Johnson. So, that answers my question. So Angela Bassett is not out of the realm of possibility because I was thinking like, okay, well, the Globes have to miss someone, but they don't have to. They don't have to. And Angela Bassett could easily, because let's think about the paths right here. Critics' Choice, I think, is a toss-up now between Bassett and Condon. BAFTA goes Condon, SAG goes Bassett. So really, I mean, ultimately, I think Critics' Choice might be the deciding factor here.
Yeah. I also think it comes down to how well Black Panther performs on nomination morning. If it gets some tech love, that's better for Bassett. But a Banshees has a huge overperformance, could do that. But also we saw last year with Power of the Dog, it very much overperformed and didn't walk away with any acting wins. So I think it's really just going to come down to how do we feel about both of these actresses in like a month and a half. Like when voting's actually happening, who's out there campaigning? Is there some news of like, oh, Angela Bassett has a new movie, or Carrie Condon's getting a new lead role, or something along those lines that maybe help build their buzz. But we go from a category that seems kind of up in the air, but maybe locked to, I would say, 2 categories that maybe could have had some skewness, but now I think are pretty solid locks.
Yeah,
First
they're
one,
locks.
Animation, Pinocchio.
Easy.
Nothing else. And then score, Babylon. Even with the movie seeming on the downward trajectory, Justin Hurwitz seems like he's back. But First Man won at the Globes, and First Man still got snubbed at the Oscars. But I think this will be different because Babylon is an actual player, while First Man kind of was dead at this point. And what was that, 2018?
Yeah, well, funny enough, with First Man, I think First Man could have gotten nominated if it released a few years later when theatrical performance doesn't matter anymore because, I mean, it kind of matters. But now we have movies that are complete flops, which are winning all of the awards. Like The Fabelmans, for example, was a huge flop, and it just won Best Picture drama, and it's one of the frontrunners for Best Picture at the Oscars. So, yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing, because First Man really didn't make it because it flopped in theaters.
So, have you been keeping along with our list here? Matt and I are both 10 out of 12 for our categories. And
Yeah.
now we had the only two surprises, I would say, because Fabelmans and Spielberg were the front runners in retrospect. We just didn't predict them. So
Yeah.
we have the Globes were pretty straightforward this year. There's just two categories where they were off. And I would like to say, if you are in our Discord, if you're not in there, go join. Link in the description. I call this next one the day of. I just didn't change my pick. And that was for Not to win song here at the Golden Globes, because people who love RRR, this is where you can vote for it in any award show, not just this one. And we've said all season long, there's no passion for the Lady Gaga song. The Rihanna song, while it's a tribute to Bozeman, no one's really like hyping the song up that much. And like Carolina's not going to win, and Chapel Pop's very solid for nomination, but it isn't a winning song. So that means Not to. I think you kind of have to make it the number one now going forward.
I still think Not to is not even a lock for a nomination, though.
I agree.
I just put it in at number 5. I had it at number 6. I was like, okay, the Oscars are not going to go with Not to. They're not going to nominate it. But now I think they kind of have to. But it's still very snubbable.
Yeah, I think
so
it's one of
happy that they
those
got it,
where
like,
it shows up, it wins. But showing up is the hurdle.
Yeah, I worry about the Oscars butchering a performance of Not to.
They 100% will. We talked about this on the Discord yesterday. I fully believe this would be worse than the We Don't Talk About Bruno, because let alone getting the actors there, whatever they make them do, unless they give them full creative control, is going to be something. And also,
it would be so stupid to butcher it. Sorry,
go ahead. Do you know if the actors actually sing in the movie? Or are they like dubbed by another person?
I am not sure about that. I'm not sure. But they would have to do, if they were to dance like that, they would have to do a dubbed track anyways, because they would not be able to dance like that while singing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it would have potential, but I just don't have faith in it doing right. With all that to be said, though, Not to, RRR wins song. So you would think, oh yeah, RRR, easy international win. No. And you're like, okay, RRR doesn't win, so that means the Soarin' movie right now, All Climb the Western Front, wins. No. So then you're like, oh, so then the Oscar tearjerker Close wins this, right? No. And you're like, okay, well, they just named Czech Park Chan-wook, South Korea, Decision to Leave. Nope. So you know what won? Amazon, Argentina, 1985.
Because of course it would. Why wouldn't Argentina 1985 win this award?
Yeah.
It just makes sense, right? It just makes sense.
You know what makes this most upsetting? Is now that means Bardo or EO is definitely not making the Oscar.
I disagree. I don't think Argentina 1985 needs to make it. There is precedent for a shortlisted film winning the Golden Globes and not being nominated at the Oscars. It happened in 2017 with In the Fade, which was a German film. It was shortlisted. It won the Golden Globe. It did not get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah, just to me, though, I don't know. I know the Globes don't have much overlap, but the fact that it beat RRR, even though RRR has all this passion, just means Amazon knows how to campaign this movie. Because it hasn't missed nominations either. It's been showing up across the board, and this is just its first win. I still think if it gets in, it's number 5. But I don't know. Bardo, EO, Argentina, one of those is your 4, one of those is your 5. Take your pick. I know I'm probably the only one still saying Bardo, but ASC happens.
You're not the only one. There's that guy on Reddit who thinks it's going to win Best Picture.
True. But ASC happens, so that Bardo has life. Mateo is not fully dead yet.
Yeah. No, I still think that Bardo would be too easy for the category, especially when it really hasn't made the nominations it needs. And Argentina 1985 seems like a prime snub. I still think the 3 ones that feel actually safe are All Quiet, Decision to Leave, and Close. Beyond that, big question marks. But I'm still going with The Quiet Girl and with Joyland. And after that, I'd go EO and then Argentina 1985 and then Bardo at 8. And after that, I don't really think any of those really have a strong chance. But that would be my ranking of the ones that I think are possible.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier, Colin Farrell shout out Ana de Armas during his speech. He also mentioned Jenny the Donkey, and therefore we have some more donkey awareness on the national stage. So maybe people hear Jenny the Donkey, and that makes them want to go like, oh, she was good in Banshees, but I watched another donkey movie. And that donkey movie is, in my eyes, the better donkey movie, and that's EO. Could maybe show up. But recapping our Golden Globes, as I mentioned before, we were 10 of 12. Honestly, if we would have just picked,
we're 10 out of 14.
We would have been 12 out of 12, and then you throw in those last two categories, and that brings us down to 10 out of 14. And the funny thing is, though, we both missed the same 4 categories, but we picked different winners for 3 of those 4 categories. So we had 2 out of the 5 chances to even get them right, and we still got them wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, at the last moment, I predicted RRR originally on the show. At the last moment, I switched to All Quiet because I was like, I just don't know if there's going to be the passion for RRR. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we got the same 4 wrong, but for different things, which is very funny. We predicted the upsets, but not in the same way.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you came like, what, 250th on Gold Derby? I came like 640th. And ultimately, it's because I forgot to put in my odds until the day before. And you had some really good odds. You used your odds on Gold Derby very well. I did not.
Yeah, I think the Bassett one helped me a lot because I think she was 40-something to 1 odds. And if I would have switched Not to be my 1 in song, I think that was like 50. So who knows where I could have got if I actually put Not to in for song. But that's for something for me to course correct when we get here to the Oscars, which we'll be doing a whole show of nominations here in about a week and a half or so. So definitely keep a look out there for that. But regardless, everyone out there, thank you for tuning to this episode of Fantasy Filmball. I had a lot of fun talking about the Globes. Hopefully you enjoyed watching the Globes out there. But until next time, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this is Fantasy Filmball.